Tell that Annabeth didn't like it, but she allowed Auntie Em to lead us to the back of the front door, to the garden of the statues. Auntie Em directed us to a park bench next to the stone satyr. "Now," she said, "I'll just position you correctly. The young girl in the middle, I think, and the two young gentlemen on either side." "Not much light for a photo," I remarked. "Oh, enough," Auntie Em said. "Enough for us to see each other, yes?" "Where's your camera?" Grover asked. Auntie Em stepped back as if to admire the shot. "Now the face is most difficult. Can you smile for me, please, everyone? A large smile." Grover glanced at the cement satyr next to him and mumbled, "That sure does look like Uncle Ferdinand." "Grover!" Auntie Em chest aside. "Look this way, dear." She still had no camera in her hands. "Percy," Annabeth said. Some instinct warned me to listen to Annabeth, but I was fighting the sleepy feeling, the uncomfortable lull that came with the food and the old lady's voice. "I will be just a moment," Auntie Em said. "You know, I can't see you very well with this cursed veil." "Percy, something's wrong," Annabeth insisted. "Wrong?" Auntie Em said, reaching up to undo the wrap around her head. "Not at all, dear. I have such noble company tonight. What could be wrong?" "That is Uncle Ferdinand!" Grover gasped. "Look away from her!" Annabeth shouted. She whipped her Yankees cap on her head and vanished. Her invisible hands pushed Grover and me both off the bench. I was on the ground looking at Auntie Em's sandaled feet. I could hear Grover scrambling off in one direction, Annabeth in another, but I was too dazed to move. Then I heard a strange rasping sound above me. My eyes rose to Auntie Em's hands, which had turned gnarled and warty, with sharp bronze talons for fingernails. I almost looked higher, but somewhere off to my left, Annabeth screamed, "No, don't!" More rasping, the sound of tiny snakes right above me from where Auntie Em's head would be. "Run!" Grover bleated. I heard him racing across the gravel, yelling, "Maya!" to kickstart the flying sneakers. I couldn't move. I stared at Auntie Em's gnarled claws and tried to fight the groggy trance that the old woman put me in. "Such a pity to destroy such a handsome face," she told me soothingly. "Stay with me, Percy. All you have to do is look up." I fought the urge to obey. Instead, I looked to one side and saw one of those glass spears people put in their gardens, a gazing ball. I could see Auntie Em's dark reflection in the orange glass. Her headdress was gone, revealing her face as a shimmering pale circle. Her hair was moving, writhing like serpents. Auntie Em. Auntie Em? How could I have been so stupid? Think, I told myself. How did Medusa die in the myth? But I couldn't think. Something told me that in the myth Medusa had been asleep when she was attacked by my namesake Perseus. She wasn't anywhere near asleep now. If she wanted, she could take those talons right now and rake open my face. "The Grey One did this to me, Percy," Medusa said, and she didn't sound anything like a monster. Her voice invited me to look up, to sympathize with the poor old grandmother. "Annabeth's mother. She cursed. It was Athena. She turned me from a beautiful woman into this." "Don't listen to her!" Annabeth's voice shouted from somewhere in the sanctuary. "Run, Percy!" "Silence!" Medusa snarled. Then her voice modulated back to her comforting purr. "You see why I must destroy the girl, Percy? She's my daughter's enemy. I shall crush the statue to dust. But you, Percy, you need not suffer." "No," I muttered, trying to make my legs move. "Do you really want to help the gods?" Medusa asked. "Do you really want what awaits you in this foolish quest, Percy? What will happen if you reach the underworld? Do not be a pawn for the Olympians, my dear. You will be better off a statue. Less pain. Less pain." "Percy!" Behind me I heard a buzzing sound, like 200 pounds of hummingbird in a nosedive. Grover yelled, "Duck!" I turned, and there he was in the night sky, flying in at 12 o'clock with his wing shoes fluttering. Grover holding a tree branch the size of a baseball bat. His eyes were tight shut, his head twitched from side to side. He was navigating by his ears alone. "Duck!" he yelled again. "I'll get her!" That finally jolted me into action. Knowing Grover, I was sure he'd miss Medusa and nail me, so I dove to one side. Thwack! At first, I figured it was the sound of Grover hitting a tree. Then Medusa roared with rage. "You miserable satyr!" she snarled. "I'll add you to my collection!" "That was for Uncle Ferdinand!" Grover yelled back. I scrambled away and hid in the sanctuary while Grover swooped down for another pass. Kerwhack! "Ah!" Medusa yelled and her snake hair hissing and spitting. Right next to me, Annabeth's voice said, "Percy!" I jumped so high that my feet nearly cleared a garden gnome. "Geez, don't do that!"